Slick and Shiny Tongue-in-Cheek Productions now takes a third look at Wilpen, Pennsylvania, putting up this old topo. When I say it's old, it's from the first decade of the 1900s. It just gives you a picture of what was around Wilpen. This is Wilpen and the mine here. Now, just surrounding, here was the Ramsey Mine, Marietta Mine down here, which was connected. Seeger Brothers, number 3. And this is Old Colony Mine. This is number 2, Ramsey Mine. Diamond Mine, which was a coal mine. Old Colony Mine. Seeger Brothers, number 1 mine. Seeger Brothers, number 2. White City Mine. There were a lot of mines in the area. We shouldn't miss that fact. Wilpen was not out there alone. Now this is another topo. The mine and attendance structures were up here. Down here was a little church. Maybe I can help you see it better. That's what I circled there. It was actually called a chapel, St. Anne's Chapel. And if you look at this view looking more or less north, you can see Wilpen Road going up here. These are the patch houses over here and coke ovens. This little blurb over here is that church I was trying to show you. Maybe I can show it better on this. So you can see in the background the coke ovens. This was a little Catholic chapel. It wasn't called a church because it was really not staffed by a permanent pastor. That's another shot of it. This is the interior. One of the saints shown here was Saint Benedict, which points out the fact that many of the priests who come out to staff the place were from Saint Vincent at Les Trobe. This was Father Cyril. He was one of the people who would come out and hold services. Before Father Cyril's time, there was an earlier priest from St. Vincent called Father Felix Fellner. Felix was an interesting character in his own right. Felix at St. Vincent, he was a member of the monastery. He was at one time the head of novices. Later on, he became the prior of the monastery. That's second in charge after the abbot. Felix was actually an historian. He wrote a 3-volume production on the history of St. Vincent. He was also archivist of St. Vincent. This shows the ladies in the church basement getting a spaghetti dinner together. There were events that the church sponsored, kind of keeping the community together. This shows a cemetery at Wilpen. And where there are churches, they often had weddings, marriages. These girls in the back were dressed up for a wedding. And as you can tell, this is some time ago. That car is of a rather distant, far-off vintage. These are girls from a wedding procession. Here we are, the bride going along, and some of the little girls in attendance for a wedding. This shows some of the more prosaic days at Wilpen, just pointing out places that are still there. This road going through is called Wilpen Road. This is the patch houses. This place up here is still in use, but it was one time the school, the Wilpen Public School. And since then, it's had additions put onto it and been altered for other uses. This up here is what we were just looking at. What we'll see next is down here. This was the office of the coal company once upon a time. It's been reworked to function as somebody's house. But when the mine was running, this was the coal company office and the place where the paymaster had his location, and the miners would come to get their pay. There was a survey done, Hab's hair survey back in the 90s, and they said then that there was a big safe in the basement of this building. That would be no doubt for the money that was handed out by the paymaster to the miners. Now this is the building that we were just looking at, and we're going to go down the road. Something that is here now that I'm circling. It's the fire company. The fire company and fire hall. But there's something that's not there anymore. It was the Wilpen Hotel. Actually, the street going back here is called Hotel Street, remembering the days when there was still a hotel there. That's a picture of the hotel, a 3-story structure. It's been gone for a while now. But it's interesting to note that a lot of the old mining companies had hotels, which indicates the fact that there may have been something of a mobile population moving through. You know, young guys coming in and not having a house of their own and needing a place to stay while they figured out whether they're going to stay there at the mine and stay with the job or move on or whatever they did. This shows the hotel in the background, and this is one of the Ligonier trucks sitting out front. That's when Wilpen got its own fire truck. Good looking old machine. And that was, we're told, the first taxi in Wilpen. It looks very much from the 1940s. And we get to see some of the patch houses. These are houses that were eventually bought or bought with the miners when the mine shut down. But they were at first owned and built by the mine and rented to the miners. It was easier for the mine company to control miners that way, because if they were on strike, they would just throw them out, which did happen. I'm not sure it happened here, but it did happen in a lot of mines. Looking down the street where people lived their lives, came home after work and met their families and just took care of things. That's some of the kids who grew up in Wilpen. Nice to see happy kids, happy smiling kids. And with this, we come to the end of what we're going to say about Wilpen. I'm sure there's a lot more that can be said, and the people out there might want to get together and, you know, put together some of the stories that they heard from days past. And I'm going to push a button here and say so long until we see you again. Bye now.